And I love the fact that before you do anything, before you tell them to do anything with taking a first step, or taking an actual step towards being healthier, you create this vision with them.
Yeah.
And you help them get completely clear on what they want.
Completely clear.
And
completely clear, because health looks so different for everyone.
Absolutely.
Right? Health for you is going to look wildly different than it does for me. So I can't say, we're all going to do the same program. We're all going to have the same nutrition plan, because that doesn't work.
Welcome everybody to Unleash Your Greatness. I'm Adam Platt, and today I have a guest on. Her name is Kate Muesing, and she is a Christian health coach who helps women build a biblical foundation for healthy habits. And so I'm excited to have Kate on today and talk about habits and how we can create these healthy habits in our life. So welcome, Kate. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks, Adam. It's nice to be here.
So you and I, we chatted a little bit about a week or so ago, and you kind of explained that you are a health coach and you have this Christian belief around it, which is fantastic. I'm also of a Christian a Christian faith as well, and we have very strong health, habits, or I guess things that we believe in. Yeah, values that we believe in my church. And so I love the fact that you're out there teaching us with the Christian biblical concept behind it. So tell me a little bit about how you decided to get into this health space and how it's been going and how you kind of help women transform their life.
That is a big question. I started getting healthy because I was really unhealthy. I had my 3 boys, and as it starts with most women, I didn't like the way I felt in my skin. I couldn't keep up with my kids. I didn't like how I looked in my clothes. I wasn't happy with the number on the scale. And I wanted to lose some weight. So I started doing the things you do to lose weight. I started eating healthier. I started a little bit of exercise. And I saw some results, and I was like, oh, I feel a lot better. I want to see what else I can do. So I pushed myself a little harder and got more results. And a friend of mine invited me to coach with her, just to inspire women on their journey and encourage them through all of the obstacles that living a healthy lifestyle, has. Lots of obstacles, right?
Right.
And through coaching I coached for about 4 years in that space, and I learned that there is a gap. There's a gap in the health industry, and that gap is faith. I noticed that women didn't connect their health to their faith, and so they would fall off the wagon. But the women who did connect their health to their faith stayed consistent. Doesn't mean that they were perfect,
sure,
but they stayed consistent because their habits were rooted in the Word and rooted in who they were in Christ. So I started coaching in that space to help women really make health a lifestyle instead of a really crappy diet cycle or shame cycle. I help women get out of that through my coaching.
That's awesome. And I love the fact that you talk about having faith connected to being healthy. And I really think so. This is kind of my twist or your spin on it, I guess. And my wife and I are right in the thick of reading Think and Grow Rich right now. It is probably the keystone of self-improvement, self-help.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Everybody who is in industry is read Think and Grow Rich. But one of
Mhm.
the chapters, one of the very first, so there's desire and then there's faith
Mhm.
is the next thing that he talks about in there.
Mhm.
And he says that faith is the or so it's desire, and then faith is like the next thing that you need to make a transformation or a switch in your life.
Yeah.
And so I love that you've connected that to health, because and you can connect it to anything, right?
Really.
You're in a health industry, which is amazing, but that faith is so important. That hope that like I can be better, I can do better in my life, I can be healthier, I can feel better, I can have more energy. You've got to believe that, right? Like you've
You
got to have
do.
that faith. If you lose that faith, like you say, you're going to go back to the way you were. You're
Mhm.
going to just keep doing these rubber band diets. Every year there's a new diet that pops up, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
And the desire goes away
right,
because when you're, you know, have had a long day and your kids are wild, you don't want to make dinner, you want to order pizza. The desire to be healthy goes away,
right.
but the belief that you're a child of God does not go away, and that you are making choices to honor your body that God has given you does not go away.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think it's important, the scriptures talk about how the body is our temple. We should treat
Hmm.
it like a temple. We should take care of it. And so many times we defile the temple because of the things we put in it, the way we treat it, the way we think
Hmm.
about ourselves, right? I think the way that
Yes.
we talk to ourselves internally, our thought process is a huge factor in how we defile our mind and our that correlates with our spirit. It correlates with our success. It correlates with so much.
Yes,
And
it does.
so I love that you've got this faith-based approach to
Mhm.
teaching people how to be healthier in their life. And it's so
Yeah.
powerful because I agree. We need to take care of our body. We need to take care of, and none of us are perfect. We're never
Nope.
going to be perfect, right? We know
Nope.
that there was only one perfect person.
Hmm.
And so we're never going to be perfect, but we can do a little bit better every single day. And we got to have that faith attached to it that we can accomplish it. Is it going to be an overnight thing?
No.
No, absolutely not.
No.
We both had every sounding no to that. We both
No.
know it's not, you know, you just don't wake up and say, today I'm going to be an amazing, healthy person and
Yeah.
everything's going to change, right? It just
Right.
doesn't work that way. So you take baby steps
We
and
do.
you create a path to get to where you want to go. So kind of take me down how you walk people down that path to get to where they want to go in their healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. I will preach it to the ground. Baby steps are the way to go with your health. So often we are told, change your whole diet and do it this way.
Yeah.
Or here's an exercise program, follow it to a T. And then we fail one day, one time, and we throw it all out because now we're off schedule. Now we're off track. Now our, numbers aren't right. And it's awful. It's a terrible cycle. But so what I teach is baby steps. First, you set the goal, right?
Yeah.
What does your healthiest self look like? What do you look like? What do you wear? What do you eat? How
Mhm.
does your exercise routine look? What does your relationship with Jesus look like? How much sleep are you getting? How much water are you drinking? What does your healthiest self look like? Now let's break it down. What's the very first teeny tiny step to climb that ladder?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's going to bed 30 minutes earlier. And sometimes that's it. And that is hard for some people. For some people, it's adding one serving of vegetables a day because they don't get enough. They know adding one is going to be hard. But when they master getting that one, they're going to be so encouraged and they're going to want to add another one. Hey, well, adding one wasn't quite as hard as I thought. I'm going to add another one in. And all of a sudden, you've compounded your habits. It's the compound effect, right? I
Right. Right.
feel like if we're in the field, we know the compound effect too. Um, and so we start in our process with the root issues, and then we work on the habits.
Yeah.
Because often we have to get rid of the bad habits before we can incorporate good ones. We have to make space for good habits.
Yeah.
And that often requires some pretty big heart work to get,
Yeah.
a lot of health issues are heart issues.
That's so like right in line with what I teach as well. So,
Yeah, good.
so I'm an achievement coach, and so
Mhm.
work a lot on setting goals. So I'm glad that you brought up goals, and I love the fact that before you do anything, before you tell them to do anything with taking a first step, or taking an actual step towards being healthier, you create this vision with them,
Yeah,
and you help them get completely clear on what they want.
completely clear.
And I
Completely clear, because health looks so different for everyone,
absolutely
right? Health for you is going to look wildly different than it does for me. So I can't say, we're all going to do the same program, we're all going to have the same nutrition plan, because that doesn't work
right.
for everyone. I have women in my groups who, have serious medical conditions, but they still want to be healthy. They can live being their healthiest selves. It just looks differently than how I would view health for my body. Um, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just got excited about what you said.
No, and so we're finding a lot of common ground here
Yeah.
and goal setting is one of my passions. So
Mhm.
you got me on a soapbox, but um, yeah, like getting clear, like having that clear foundation
Mhm.
is so key, and then you've got to connect with that vision,
Yep.
and that's where the faith comes in, right? Like
Yeah.
connect with it and then be like, okay, I can do this.
Mhm.
And understand why you want to do it, I think is also another key factor.
We
Because if
do
you
talk
don't,
about your why. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly. And that's
I think that's
exactly
week one in the whole program is let's figure out your why.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that, because if you're not connected with that why, and when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and it's like, hey, it's time to get up and do the workout, you're not going to. Uh,
Right.
that's how I found, at least with myself, when I've set
Mhm.
goals, if I'm not connected. For instance, last year I set a goal to run 1,000 miles. Running is my exercise. And I said, I'm going to run 1,000 miles, because I've always been a fair weather runner.
Mhm.
So whenever it's nice out is kind of when I run. And then when it gets cold, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm going to stay inside. So
Mhm.
I wanted to stretch myself and do it all year. And I knew that if I didn't set kind of a big goal for me, which 1,000 miles was a huge goal for me, actually,
Mhm.
that I wouldn't never do it. And so I set this big goal and I broke it down. But what I found is I had to connect with why I wanted to do that. And the reason why is because I wanted to be healthier and I wanted to feel better. I wanted to have more energy throughout my day.
Mhm.
And so when my alarm went off at 5 a.m. and it's, 20 degrees outside, I knew what that why was. And I got
Right.
up and I did the workout. I went out and I ran in the cold, even though it wasn't fun. And
Mhm.
although I do, to be honest, I actually kind of enjoy my early morning cold runs, because there's nobody. It's so quiet. It's beautiful outside
That would be
here in
nice.
Utah. But
Mhm.
yeah, you have to connect with that why.
Right. And I challenge my clients to go one step farther. Why do you want to have, you would mention energy. You wanted to have more energy,
Hmm.
and that's a big byproduct of being healthy. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to have more energy? Well, because I want to, for me in my life, it was I want to not get tired when I'm playing with my kids. Okay, why? Why again?
Right.
Because I want to be the very best mom I can be. Bingo. That's it. That's your why. You're exercising so you can be the very best mom or parent that you can be. Not because you want more energy. Yeah,
Right.
you want more energy, but energy is the byproduct. Your why is because you want to be the very best parent you can be, the very best spouse you can be. And really, even more than that, because you want to do the will of God.
Mhm.
God gave me my kids. I'm going to use myself as an example. God gave me my kids. They are my work to do. Part of one of my works to do
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
to be a
Yeah.
mom. If I'm going to be a good steward of the gift God gave me, I have to be healthy. I have to be my healthiest self.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what we do in my program, is break it down all the way. Find the deep why, and
Mhm.
eventually it's Jesus
Yeah.
or faith.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I agree 100%. And I do the same thing when I'm coaching someone.
Hmm.
I actually go, I call it the 7 layers of why. I actually learned it from Dean Graziosi. I don't know if you know who he is, but I actually ask them why 7 times, because usually like 1 through 4 is kind of superficial. Like, I
Hmm.
want to be healthier. Why do you want to be healthier? Well, because I want to have more energy. Why do you want to have more energy? Well, I want to be a good parent for my kids and a good example. Why is that important for you? Well, and when you get to level like 5, 6, and then 7, like it
Hmm.
really like usually there's tears involved. They're
Yes.
crying
Oh,
because I
yes.
could ask you like, why is it important for you to be a
Hmm.
good steward of what heavenly or what God gave you? And you would have to sit there and think about it. Like, why is that important to me?
Hmm.
And you would have to come up with something. And usually that's another level below that. And
Absolutely.
and there's always, not always, but if you go like 7 layers, like it is powerful. And once they connect with that, it's like boom. Okay, now when it's hard, now when it's tough, because it's always going to be, something's going to come up, right? Scheduling,
Always.
or it's just going to be hard, or I don't feel like it, or I'm not feeling great today, or I just don't want to, right? uh,
Right.
but when you connect with that deep why, like you said, then it's like, okay, I have a reason, a purpose, a mission that I have to
Yes.
do this. And
Yeah,
so,
because Satan doesn't want you to be healthy, right?
no,
When
no,
we're healthy, we're able to do God's work even better. Not that you can't do it when you're unhealthy, but we're able to do it even better, and we're obeying. And Satan doesn't want us to obey.
yeah, yeah,
So I kid you not, every time I start one of these groups, someone gets sick, someone has a family member who passes away. I mean, big things happen. My car broke down and now I don't know if I can afford this. I mean, Satan throws big things at us and we call it life happening,
right.
quote unquote. Oh, life happened and now I can't do it. It's not life. This is Satan trying to stop you, because he knows that when you are being obedient, you are a much more powerful tool for God to use.
Yeah. So agree. Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps because of that. And I agree 100%, because um, and you're right. A lot of people, they call it, life, or the
Hmm.
universe, or whatever. But really, I believe the same as you. Is it is anytime you want to make a good decision in your life, there's going to be something from the adversary to throw up some kind of a block or a hurdle, or
Some
a
sort of obstacle
yeah,
every time.
something
Hmm.
that you got to overcome. And you're exactly right. It's 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 not easy.
No, it's not. And that's why doing it in community is important. So, like the group that I coach in my mentorship, it's a group course, it's a small group, but we do it as a team because it's important to support each other. You can't do this alone. We weren't even created to do it alone, right? God
That-
didn't even, Jesus didn't send the disciples out one at a time. He sent them out in pairs, he sent them out in groups.
yep.
We were meant to be in community, and it's important to we get just as much out of supporting others as we do growing ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. And that accountability as well. So when
Yeah.
those hurdles do come up, and people can be not only the support, but be like, that this is somebody is trying to stop you from doing this, right?
Hmm.
And then to just be accountable to somebody else, because some people are good at it. I'm not great all the time at it, of being accountable to yourself.
Hmm.
But when you have to answer to somebody else, it's like,
Right.
now all of a sudden it's this, almost like this shame, right? And I don't like the word shame, I guess, but
Yeah.
you're letting someone down when you don't follow through with what you say you're going to do. And that's a lot
Right.
harder than letting yourself down, because we let
It's a
ourselves down.
hard balance to balance accountability with grace,
Right.
right? And that's where having a small group of women that you learn to trust, or men,
Right.
depending on who you are, having a small group of people you can trust, um, is is the good balance between accountability and grace, because things are going to happen. If you're sick, you if you've got a cough, you probably shouldn't go running or do hard cardio.
Yeah. I do
So
anyways.
I'm gonna oh, I can't
I'm
even
awful
handle that.
that way.
Oh man. So, if you've got a pulled muscle, it's probably best that you rest it. So there's grace involved in this whole cycle. Um, and thankfully we have a good example of that in Jesus.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, so powerful. And so, um, we've talked about getting the clear vision, uh,
Hmm.
understanding your why. And then really from there, I believe the next step is just taking action, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
Just gotta do it.
yeah, because as you take action, it creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence that I can do this, I can do this, I can do this.
Hmm.
And once you have that confidence, like there's just nothing that can really stop you.
Right.
When those hurdles come up, you'll be like, whatever, I'm gonna jump over
I got
that. I'm gonna
this.
push it out of the way, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um,
And it also creates discipline,
yeah,
right? And that again is a fruit of the spirit. So we're seeing spiritual growth in ourselves as we're growing in our health, as we're doing better in our health, we see self discipline. And I think that's one of the areas in everyone's life when we have the least amount of self discipline. I mean, if I set a plate of cookies in front of you, would you be able to eat just one? I
depends
mean,
on what the cookie is.
it is Girl Scout season, and I am
Oh
using
yeah,
all of my self control to not order the thin mints because I know myself. I will eat an entire sleeve in one sitting without even thinking about it. So I make the choice because I have the discipline now to say, not even going to buy those. Like,
I,
not even going to let that get
I
behind me,
I
Satan.
just buy the new lemon ones because they've got little inspirational quotes on them.
Oh,
So
do they? That's precious.
no, but I completely understand what you're saying. It's hard, and when you talk about discipline, I think it really, like, going back to what you had kind of brought up at the beginning of our conversation, is creating those habits that serve you, getting rid of the
Yeah.
bad habits, and creating habits that really do serve you.
Yeah.
And I think that's also one of the keys, like,
Hmm.
to success, is just having those key habits. Because I think it's that way with anything, really, any bad habit that we want to get rid of. If you're a smoker and you want to kick smoking, guess what? You got to change what you're doing.
Right.
'Cause most smokers, yeah, there is addiction to nicotine, but a lot of times it's just a social addiction as well. Like,
Right.
you go out for your smoke and there's other people out there, you can talk, it's a social thing.
Hmm.
um, and you've got to kind of break those chains and those habits to
You
get
do.
over that.
Yeah.
You have a meal and you go out for a smoke. You got to stop that. You got to do something else. And so you got
Right.
to create these habits around. And it's the same way with being healthier, right? Um,
Right.
and when you get kind of stressed out, instead of grabbing the Ben and
Bowl of
Jerry's,
ice cream. Right.
you grab
Same thing. Yeah.
the carrots, right, or something, right?
Right.
You got to create better healthy habits that serve you,
Right.
instead of bringing you down the same path you are on. So
Right. And I love what you said about the emotional eating.
yeah,
Um, I think it's important to identify why people make their bad health habits choices, because
yeah,
they're choices, right? We choose. You're
absolutely,
not just, naturally I don't, it's a choice.
yeah,
It's a choice. You have control over what you put in your mouth. So why do when do you go to food? Are you anxious? Are you sad? Are you frustrated? Are you stressed out? Are you excited? Is it a joy thing? Is it a celebration? Why do you go to food, and why don't you go to Jesus?
yeah.
If you're stressed out, shouldn't prayer be your first response? Now, naturally, it's not. My first stress response is to put my kids to bed and pull out a bowl of ice cream. And you know, you're not going to just eat a bowl. You're going to eat the whole pint of Ben and Jerry's. You're not going to
Oh
eat
yeah.
half of it.
That's my problem when I get a Ben and Jerry's.
Right. Mine too. I can't even buy it. Oh, it's a whole Girl Scout cookie thing. Um, all over again. Yeah. Figuring out why you do what you do so that you can start to do better. And not in a way where we, are shaming people. I can't believe that you are, drinking 2 glasses of wine at night. No, that's what you knew. That was the coping mechanism you knew. I'm going to teach you a new one. And it's going to be based in the Bible, and it's going to be based in scripture and in Jesus. So it's a healthy habit,
Right.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's a few things there that I want to kind of bring out is, uh, when you talk about setting or doing the thing that's in exchange for the bad habit and doing the
Mhm.
good one, right? I think it's setting the intention, right?
Yeah.
You've got to set that intention up front, because you're right. Things are going to come up, and you're going to be like, okay, when this happens, instead of doing this, I'm going to, say my prayers, or I'm going to eat carrots, or I'm going to, whatever it is. And we've got to set the kind of those intentions up front, so that when
Yes.
those stressful things or those triggers, right? That's
Yeah.
usually the kind of common phrase that people use for
Yeah.
them is
That's what we
triggers.
used. Yeah.
When the triggers come up, then you can say, okay, I'm being triggered right now because my kids are driving me nuts and I want some ice cream. Instead of having ice cream, though, I'm going to then
Have a
whatever,
cup of
right?
tea. You
Right.
have a plan for that. We
Yeah.
make a plan for those triggers. Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And then I also loved how you kind of talked about how people at the very beginning of our conversation, again, you said, uh, people set a goal and then they mess up, and they're like, well, that's it. I guess I can't do it. This is game over. I'm done. I'm just going to go back to the way it was. I think we need to give ourselves, like you said, some grace or some forgiveness, right? Because
Yes,
again, we're not perfect,
we're not.
and we need to be willing to say, you know what, I messed up. I yelled at my kids, or I did have some uh, Girl Scout cookies,
Right.
but tomorrow's a new day, and I can get better tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And,
And putting how should I say this? Um Within the framework of what you do and in the plans that you make, when I'm triggered, I'll do this. Also, knowing that, planning for things like when there's a birthday party, I'm going to eat a I'm going to eat a big slice of cake and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it, because cake is meant to be enjoyed. And
sure.
it is good. There's Food is neutral. It's not good or bad. It's how you associate it. It's
Right.
what you associate, how you, you know, it's how you label food. But that's on you. Cake is not inadvertently sinful. It can be really good.
Yeah.
But eating a whole cake is probably, then we're getting into some sinful behaviors.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
I
what,
love what you said, you said knowing your purpose, the purpose for why you're doing it. We see that in Daniel, right? It says
right.
in the Bible, I believe it's Daniel 1:8, Daniel purposed his heart on the Lord. And that is what gave him the courage to say, I'm not going to eat the king's food.
Yeah, for sure.
He purposed his heart on what was good and on God. And it gave him the courage and the willpower, because I'm sure that food looked amazing
Oh yeah.
and was tempting, but he purposed his heart. And when we know our purpose, we can feel confident in the healthy decisions that we make. And we can feel confident that that piece of cake is okay and guilt-free.
Right. And I think it's one thing that I also want to point out with that story of Daniel is he was rewarded because of his
Mhm.
obedience.
Yes.
And so, like you say, I love I love the fact that you brought up that it's not a all or nothing type thing,
No.
right? We can take a little piece of cake. We can have a cookie now and again. It
Mhm.
shouldn't be this like, okay, I'm totally sugar free. And some people
Right.
are
There's people
they
that
do
need that, but
right, and that's okay.
mhm,
But my philosophy is when you're doing really good and you're reaching milestones, like you set out to lose 20 pounds, right?
mhm,
You have a goal and you lose 5 pounds. It's like, you know what? I did good. I lost 5 pounds. I'm going to treat myself to a little piece of dark chocolate. Why?
mhm.
Because it, 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 it's amazing when you can like reward yourself for those little milestones, those little things that you accomplish. You're like,
Mhm.
man, this feels good. I did something. I'm rewarding myself, and it doesn't need to be chocolate. It can be anything, right? You can,
Right.
go maybe a woman goes buys a new pair of pants. I don't know, like
Right.
whatever, right?
Right.
You set that intention and what you want.
Yes.
But I love the fact that you can be like, I've been really good on my diet. I've been really healthy eating lately, and it's my kid's birthday. I'm gonna have a piece of cake. That's
Yeah.
okay. Like that's
Good for you. Enjoy it.
awesome, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And in life, I think so many people think that life is supposed to be this struggle all the time. Like if we're not struggling, we're not living. That's
No.
not true. We should enjoy it and love it,
Yes.
and it's meant to be a great thing.
It's
So
meant to be joyful.
yeah,
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that we have to put crap in our body all the time.
Right.
But there is stuff that is, it tastes good, and it's okay to indulge in that every so often.
Mhm.
So I love that concept that you brought that up. So thank you for pointing that out. So I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit more on it's like how you help when there are those women who are just like, I just don't know if I can do it. Like,
Mhm.
this is hard. This is because some people have never, ever, ever taken these steps before, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
a huge shift in their life,
Mhm.
and rightfully so. Like,
Yeah. Mhm.
obviously, we take baby steps, but even baby steps sometimes at the beginning can feel like huge steps.
Mhm.
Or somebody who's just like, I've never done anything like this. I've never tried to be healthier. You know,
Yeah.
things like that. What would you say to the woman or man? It could be either or,
It
right?
could be either.
You work
Yep.
probably more with women because that's kind of how women are. They stick together, but
Mhm. We do.
but and that's okay. I
It
understand that.
is.
But
Mhm.
what would you say to a woman or even a man if they're just like, I don't know if I can do this. This is hard.
Man, a couple things come to mind. First of all, you're not doing it alone. You're doing it right alongside of a whole bunch of people who feel the exact same way you do, who are also overwhelmed and scared.
Mm,
But
yeah.
I've been there. I'm on the other side, and I'm going to hold your hand through it, through the process. So trust the process,
Right.
right? I feel like I repeat that regularly. Trust the process, trust the process, and trust God in the process.
Yeah.
Show yourself grace. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for you to do your best. And if your best in one moment is different from your best in another moment, that's okay. That's okay. I'm here to walk alongside you. I think people feel like they're the only one who's ever been in that situation. And it's important for people to know that you're not. You're
Right.
not the only one. Sorry, sis, you are not unique in that. In that one thing, you are not unique. There are a lot of other people going through the exact same struggles, and those are the people in the group.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So you are not alone. Your struggles are not new to me. I have seen them. I will walk you through them. And more importantly, I'm going to pray you through them. So let's trust God. Let's trust the process and let's see where we get.
Awesome. That's beautiful. And
Thanks.
I think it is important for people to understand that no matter what you're going through, whether it's a health struggle or anything,
Mhm.
you are not the only person that has experienced that. with
Right.
billions of people on the earth and billions more that have lived throughout history, somebody has experienced that and has overcome it or thrived in that situation.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, they're not alone, and you can absolutely overcome it. And bringing it back to faith and religion, if you will, Christ suffered for
Right.
everything, right? So
Right.
there's nothing he didn't experience, and he knows exactly. And so I love the fact that you brought up, the praying about it, and you'll pray with them, um,
Yeah.
because yeah, Christ he's experienced all of it, and there's nothing that
Right.
we can personally say that nobody has experienced, because if anybody else, it's him, right? So thanks for bringing that up, and I think that's important perspective to keep in mind as we go
Mhm.
through our struggles, and just realize that we're not the only ones that
Mhm.
are experiencing this or haven't experienced it. So,
Yeah.
and it can always be worse, I think. So
Oh yeah.
there's always worse things that can be going on. There's somebody dealing with something a lot worse somewhere in the world. So I think gratitude for what we are going through, even though it may
Mhm.
be hard, keeping that perspective of gratitude for what we do have and what we are able to, get out of bed every day and do something, be healthier. Some people can't even do that. So
Right.
keep that in perspective as well. Um, so I have absolutely just loved this entire conversation, and
Oh, me too.
it's been super fun. And there's I usually don't talk a lot of religion on my podcast, but because we're both Christian and we both believe in God and everything, it's fun to ravel those things inside of self-help for sure. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and just being better every day. So it's kind of a unique conversation for myself. So some people tend to shy away from those types of things, and not everybody will resonate with this message, and I
And
understand that,
that's okay. That's
uh,
okay. I'm not for everyone. I'm okay with that.
and that's
We
fine.
can agree to disagree.
Exactly. And but hopefully those who do listen get some benefit out of it. I think there is a lot of benefit that we've talked about so far.
Mhm.
So
I hope so.
I think that's amazing. So I want to let people know, for those who want to reach out to you and find out more about your coaching and your faith-based healthy coaching, where
Yeah.
they can get a hold of you and connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. People typically connect with me on Instagram. My handle is Kate Muesing. It's my name. It's pretty easy. All of my links are there. All of my information is there in my bio. I do have another round of my mentorship coming up in March. At the end of March, the waitlist is open now. Whenever they're hearing this, probably it will be registration time. Um, it is a small group health mentorship, and I walk you through all the things that we just talked about, but in depth. It's a 1 hour group call, and then some homework during the week. It's not super time consuming, but women are getting results, and we're seeing some big heart changes as well as health changes. So, but yeah, connecting with me on Instagram is um, usually a great place to start.
Awesome. Fantastic. And so for those who are listening, you can find those links both to her Instagram, to Kate's Instagram, as well as to her program. If you're interested in
Yes.
looking into that and registering for that, those links will all be found below this episode, either on YouTube or on the podcast, wherever you might be watching or listening. So go and check out Kate and what she has to offer for being healthy, and also putting the faith of the Christian faith within that coaching, which is so awesome and so unique. And I'm super excited for people who are listening to this that want to get more of that exposure, I guess, or
Mhm.
you know, have that foundation to build upon. So, thank you so much, Kate, for pointing that out. So, I always like to kind of wrap up the interviews by just asking you, as a coach and as a person, What are one to maybe three things that someone needs to do to unleash the greatness within themselves? What would you say those things are?
Be brave. It starts with just give yourself 20 seconds of insane courage. Just
Right.
20 seconds to send that message, 20 seconds to click that button, 20 seconds to, press play on a workout. 20 seconds of insane courage, and you'll be so relieved what comes after. Be brave. I think it takes so much courage to achieve new levels, so much courage to grow yourself as a person in any capacity. So don't be afraid to be brave.
Awesome. I love that. Courage, be brave, put yourself out there and
Yeah.
chance on yourself for sure.
Hmm.
And just know that you're not alone and that there's always people there to support you. And if no one else, God, your higher power, whatever you want to refer to him as,
Hmm.
I refer to him as Father in heaven. But
Hmm.
so you're never alone, and be brave. You got this. So thanks for sharing that, Kate. I truly appreciate your perception, your insights, and your amazing energy that you brought to the conversation. So much fun. Uh, I just absolutely loved it. So for those who are listening, please reach out to Kate if you're interested in learning more about her biblical Christian coaching, healthy coaching, and connect with her on Instagram as well as look into her program. And everybody, I just want you to have an amazing day. Go out there and start unleashing your greatness today. Have an amazing, awesome day and be better every day and do something that you love.